So shifting gears a little bit, we've talked a lot about history, our own histories, the history of the angry Black woman, America's history. So let's shift to what's going on currently right now. So with this, I don't even want to say new movement. It's not a new movement. Black Lives Matter has been around. Police justice or police reform, all of that have been topics that have been on the docket. What, if anything, feels different about right now?
To me, I feel like the involvement is just astonishing right now. I think that we are fed up. Like, we are tired of being sick and tired. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm just like, how many more people do they think they have to kill before we will not blow up, before we will not respond? Um, and so I'm loving the way that people are protesting. I'm loving this platform that Micahia is using right now to bring about a conversation and a discussion about it. Because I think that we've seen it on TV, we've seen it on social media, just in bits and pieces. I think that what's going on right now is just being more televised. They've been killing our Black men. The police have been getting away with murder. Literally, the institution that the police stands upon today is made from racism and people that literally just wanted to keep us down and kill us. They just found a more legal way to do it.
I feel like this movement has really made us all just sit down and have a real honest conversation. And I feel like even for growth from now on in the future, it's going to take them having a conversation. It's going to take them, hey, I'm sorry for doing this XYZ to the Black community. It's going to take, it's going to take consequences. And that's what's really needed. They need to have a consequence for killing innocent Black people. Like, you killed a little boy over some Skittles. All he had was some Skittles. Like, you killed a jogger because he's jogging in a white, quote unquote, neighborhood. You killed Breonna Taylor because she's sleeping in her bed. And you came in the wrong house. Like, there should be a consequence for these actions. And the crazy thing is, Black people, we are held up to everything that we do. So if a Black guy was to go rob a liquor store, oh, he's going to get the max sentence. But if a white counterpart does that, oh, he's 6 months in jail. So we're sick and tired of not getting equal treatment in the judicial system. We're just sick and tired of innocent lives being took from us. We're just tired of not even getting an apology for what you did to my ancestors. So how much more can we take?
I think too that think of what was happening before all this. COVID-19 happened, and we finally had to sit down somewhere, and we can't escape it. There's no distractions. I think that for me, the most surprising has been the amount of white and non-Black people of color allyship. So if all of us are familiar with Kentucky, you hear a lot of people, especially Black people, say like, oh, I'm from Louisville, because Louisville is very much like, kind of a blue city in a red state, but very much, I feel like, the most diverse hub within the state of Kentucky. And then you'll have areas like Bullitt County, Scott County, just very much that are predominantly rural white neighborhoods. One of them is Hazard County. I just saw that Hazard County had a Black Lives Matter protest. If you're from Kentucky, that is very like a shocking thing to hear, because it is very heavily predominantly white rural and usually a very red county. So seeing that really it was shocking to me, because when everything was happening with Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, and Alton Sterling, it was not near the amount of white allyship that I'm seeing now with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and with Ahmaud as well. And the thing is, what you'll hear a lot of is that a lot of white elderly people who are grandmothers and grandfathers to this day saying how everyone has like marched with Dr. King, you know, everyone's favorite peaceful Black protester, saying that they were, you know, like they were against segregation and Jim Crow, all of that. And I'm like, if all of y'all were against that, it wouldn't have happened. But like actually seeing again like the type of allyship and accomplices that we do have now is it's progress. It's not the end, but it's very much a progress that I am like surprised but happy to see. And again, it's showing that it's a lot of focus on the reform needed within the judicial system, like Janelle was saying, and a lot of things systemically that are oppressing Black people.
No, I definitely agree. I love that we have social media as a platform for us to, you know, communicate and share and expose a lot of these things. I love that, you know, we're holding companies and businesses and organizations accountable for their silence or lack of involvement in this movement. I think for me, that's the biggest thing. Because when you can make an economic impact, I believe that that can be a great motivator, I guess, for the lack of better words. So I think for me, just seeing people like, hey, if you're not involved or you're silent or you're supporting, you know, racist candidates or things like that, I won't be spending my money with you. I love that. I love to see it.
So, do we feel like this is going to last and bring about change? I only ask because we've been here before. We've seen with when Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin were killed. We saw people out in the cities protesting. I mean, and to add to this conversation, we do have some things that are on the docket right now, like the police reform bill. And just to give everybody some background on that, the police reform bill it has a ban on chokeholds. There's a creation of a national police misconduct registry. So if you get fired or let go from your job, they know when you try to go to another district or city that you've had misconduct in your past. There's incentives for states to mandate racial bias training and teaching officers to intervene. Also, which should have been on the docket from the get-go, there's an anti-lynching legislation that we're still trying to get passed, which I don't know why that has not been passed yet. And then quantified immunity is something people are talking about as well for police officers. So do we feel like is this actually gonna start bringing about change? Like, is this movement going to last, and are we gonna see results of change from that?
How can I say? I'm from Ferguson. From those who don't know, I'm from Ferguson. I live in Ferguson. So this quote unquote training that should have been done when Mike Brown was killed, what has it done? We are currently going through an issue right now where a police officer hit a Black male with his car, and now they want him to be prosecuted. So it's like, what reform have you guys really done? I don't see any training that's really been taken serious enough to even change how they treat Black males, especially in our community. So reform, they can talk about reform until we actually see reform actually take place. And so I think it's going to be more than just you having training. It's going to be it needs to be some change of the people. If this person feels this way about a Black person in general, or if you're scared, you don't need to be a police officer. You need to get you a job sitting down somewhere if you're going to be scared of anybody of color, whether that's Mexican, Asian, Pacific Islander, anything. So, yeah, I feel like reform is going to have to really do some change, major change.
I would say I hope that there would be some change. I feel that change is just really just micro right now. Um, I know that I've seen where in Louisville, the Metro Police Department is putting limitations on the no knock warrant that was brought up in Breonna Taylor's case. Um, so I think again, the more people speak out, the more that those powerful voices are speaking out, and that I think change will start to see more of it. I think that no matter what, our generation cannot and will not be the same after going through what we're going through right now. I know that for me, I can no longer, just continue to look in the lens of, oh, it's not happening to me, or oh, it's not my family. Because soon, in one day, if nothing does change, it can be.
I think that I agree with what you are saying, that we're never going to be the same after this. There is no before, but I think that we have to keep into thought that the generation after us has been witnessing all of this from George to Trayvon, and they are getting of age to vote. And already just with our generation ourselves and the changes that we're making, like think of AOC, Congresswoman Alexandria Ortiz Cortez, or Oscio Cortez. I'm probably messing up her name and I apologize, but the person, like, she defeated the incumbent who was on a streak, like a Mitch McConnell streak, and she ended up defeating him in the election, and has been about change. We're seeing a lot of that now. And so I think also too that it's not just Black people on this side of us too. We do have non-Black POC white allies as well. Not saying that all of them are on our side, obviously, but like we do have enough, and that people are being intentional about education and just getting the information themselves. I think that is something to consider. We have a lot of moments in our lives that define us. Think of when all of us were younger. I know I was in second grade, but when 9/11 occurred, the attack on the World Trade Centers, and kind of like how that has shaped and shifted my childhood and my schema. A lot of things that are happening now is shaping and shifting things. You have a generation who grew up with the housing market crash. So that's where you see a lot of push for economic reform, for like the pay gap between men and women, or the gap between the 1% and 99%, things such as that. And I feel like something such as this that's happening and continuing to fuel and understand just everything is what is making an impact. So do I have hope? Yes. Do I expect it to be immediate? No. Honestly, with the charges against those officers that did kill George Floyd, I'm shocked that like in this amount of time, we were able to get a charge bumped up from third degree to second degree, and that the other remaining officers were charged. Very happy, yes, but still shocked, because if this was even a year ago, I don't think that would have happened.
And you're right. I do see change, and it's all about who we vote in office to. We have to use our voices. We have to get up and actually go outside to vote. Simply how Trump got in office is because a lot of people did not go and vote when they were supposed to. So we need to go out there and vote and get people who are actually concerned about our issues in office. And again, we have to educate. We have to educate our children into knowing the injustices that we've had in the past, and the ones that we're facing right now in the future. So education and really voting right now is going to be our main two that's going to push for reform to happen.
I want to shift the conversation just real quick. Still talking about potential reforms and things of that nature. In the news, this week, and I want to say a little bit early on last week, there was a lot of conversation about defunding or dismantling police departments around the country. I want to get what you guys' thoughts are on that subject. I have some thoughts of my own, but I want to get you guys' thoughts first.
Personally, don't agree with the funding of the police. We need them. Their job is to protect and serve. And it's not everyone who has the views as those officers enjoy Floyd's case. Again, it's not everyone, but it's those select few that we need to get out. So I don't believe in taking away money or funding because we're gonna need them if something really happens. Whether that's a fire or a robbery, anything, we're gonna need the police. So that's my view.
I sort of disagree. So I know that the term defunding can be seeming as like, oh, let's wipe out all the money, but definitely not. I do think that there does need to be some type of relocation of those funds because some of those funds are going towards things such as riot gear, military grade weapons for a metro area that could be redistributed into training programs for diversity and inclusion, for mental health and wellness, because police are also contacted for wellness checks, and there have been documented incidents where we have someone who is of special needs that is either hurt or killed because police do not know how to handle it, and so they take them as violent, whether that may not be the case. I know that Contessa, with working with students on the autism spectrum, they have different social interactions than those that are not. So keeping that into mind of just redistributing those funds, but also taking into account doing research on how much these officers or just the police department is actually getting. I know that I think it was LA, the mayor of LA said that they were going to take 15 million from their police budget and redistribute that to like organizations to help support minorities. However, and that's great. That is really great. Trust me. Listen, I do not have the type of money to look down on somebody giving them 15 million to other organizations, but they get 150 million every year. So just putting that into perspective, I do think that we do need law enforcement. It's something that we need for protection and service, but something needs to change within that. A lot of things need to change within that system. So should we completely abolish the police? No, we shouldn't, but we need to make sure that the same people that we are putting these badges and honors upon and like this like conveyor of authority is out there doing so with the best interest of everyone, whether they're down on West Broadway or they're up in St. Matthews or Prospect.
I definitely, I think I feel on the fence between the both of you guys' ideas on this. When the average American hears defund, dismantle, they're thinking, first thought is defund, you want to completely take all of the money away from the police department. Dismantle, you want to completely get rid of police, cops, things of that nature. So I personally think there needs to be another word developed or used to kind of get across the viewpoints of what actually wants to happen. So you're right, I think you articulated it really well in the sense that reallocating some of the funds, because like you said, military grade weapons, things of that nature, why would we need those on domestic cops and things of that nature? So yeah, I definitely sit on the fence on it. I definitely agree with you. There's not agree with both of you guys. We need police officers in the sense that if something happens in my apartment or house, I'm gonna be calling the police to make sure they come and deal with it. So yeah, I definitely sit on the fence. I just think there needs to be a different word used to describe it, because I think I was watching CNN, Don was talking about if you put that on a bumper sticker, like what's the first thought that's gonna happen? Okay, that person in the car wants to completely get rid of any type of police, cops, any type of police department. So yeah, I definitely think another word needs to be used. Okay, reparations. So let's talk a little bit about that. I know a lot of a lot of community members have been talking about this for years. I want to know what your thoughts are about reparations, and then what, as a community or individuals or Black people in general, what will we even use reparations on, or how can we utilize reparations?
Okay, let me just be honest. Our ancestors never got the reparations they were deserved. So for us to get reparations now, it needs to be used for getting our Black men and women out of jail for low offense crimes. It needs to be hospitals established for mental health, because a lot of us deal with mental health issues on the daily and we're not able to really speak on it. So funding for that will be great. Generational wealth, bring that back to us. I would love to see a Black Wall Street happen again. So I feel like we can use it to those standpoints.
I'm just going to piggyback on what Janelle said as far as generational wealth. The Black dollar is so, is probably like 5 cents to that of our counterparts. And it really is, the disadvantage. And when people say, oh, get over slavery and get over those sorts of things, like, we are still being affected by what happened to us as slaves. We cannot dismiss our start in this country. So I think that just, that generational wealth will make a huge difference in the Black community. We don't have the funds, to do that of which our counterparts can do. A lot of our communities are impoverished, and that would definitely help give us on the equal playing field.
I say take away student loans, like pay that off, please and thank you.
Please.
College needs to be free for the next 400 years for Black people. But also too, speaking of that, like a total extreme reinvestment in HBCUs. That needs to be emphasized completely and totally. There's a lot of talk of like, well, to be honest, there's not a set price that could pay back what was done to us as a people. The fact that I also, I feel like there's a whole, like, I have a whole, like, moral ethics issue with, like, even taking, like, an ancestry DNA kit, because it's like, why do I have to pay to find out where I'm from when if things didn't happen how they happened, I probably wouldn't be here.
Preach.
Like in the US. And so there's not a set amount of money that can replace that. They can try. But I definitely, something needs to be done, because like Samara was saying, this is historic. This is from a long, long line of injustice. So if you want to, yes, reparations should definitely be a thing, but I think it should be implemented on the micro and macro level, because, for as much that Black people have given to this country and are still giving to this country to this day, no, there needs to be recognition for that. Like, the blood of my ancestors run through the soil of this country, as all of ours does. And this whole, oh, I'm sorry this happened, but you look at the demographics of who's on the better sides of town and who's not, it is completely and totally inappropriate and rude and disrespectful.
I completely agree with everybody. I feel like when we integrated schools, the integrated restaurants, and all of these things, we did integrate well. And in the Black community, even different minority groups come into the Black community and make money off of Black people. And I believe that there needs to be reparations for the educational system has failed Black children and still failing Black children. I saw it firsthand. I worked in elementary schools for at least 2 years. Education, Black businesses, owning property in predominantly Black communities, all of those things, paying off student loan debt. Yeah. And me, I think in the Native Americans too need to be included in that. Black people and the Native Americans. I think that both of those groups have very unique histories in this country. And I feel like just saying sorry to Black people or sending an email saying, oh, we support Black Lives Matter, we're going to donate money, that's good. But we need to integrate the wealth in this country. I think we need reparations so we can put them towards this next generation of kids coming up.
To be honest with you guys, I've had this conversation with my close family members, my immediate family. I've listened as other people have had this conversation. You guys brought up a lot of good thoughts and ideas. Like I never thought about mental health in that aspect, making sure we're putting money in that, and obviously free college would be a great idea. But let's say we get per person we get a $300,000 payout, which would, thinking about all of the descendants of slaves that live in the United States right now, that's going to be trillions and trillions of dollars. What specifically should our community do with that money? Because we know there's going to be, and not to speak bad about our community, there's going to be people that go out and use that individual money to make personal purchases. Like, I just want this really nice car. I want these really nice shoes. I want these brands, things of that nature. So what can we do to invest back into our community on an individual level?
I think there needs to be a collective goal. Micaiah, let me know if I'm understanding you wrong, but I think what I hear you asking is, how do we, if we do get this money, how do we not make it go to waste? How do we not just flush it down the toilet? And so as a community, we need to have a united goal of building generational wealth, making sure that what we should have had yesterday, that we start to build tomorrow if we get that money, right? So we need to take care of our community. We need to build up our schools. That's where our future is. And like, to just watch documentaries of how, students are still being treated in Chicago and just impoverished communities, not even having textbooks and having to fight for computer rooms and books on their library shelves. How can we want our young Black children to be educated and they don't even have a book to get off of the bookshelf? So it really is going to have to be a collective effort to put that money where it should be.
Yes, Samara, you hit the nail on the head on what I was speaking about. Specifically, I think if you think about other countries and other cultures who immigrate to this country, we're not as community minded as they are. We might have individual communities, like people that we talk about certain issues with and people we feel comfortable, but overall, as a Black community, I think we're starting to see it a little bit more. As I've gotten older, I'm starting to see it a lot more, but there's like Samara said, there's common goals that we can work towards. So like, even like, think about some people in Asian cultures. A lot of them will come to this country, one person will have a business, and then they'll have those individuals work at the business. They're making money, take that money, build another business, individuals go work at that, and then do on and on and on. And also how the Jewish community built their wealth, same thing. So it's like, we have to start having those conversations, even outside of reparations. Like, what are we doing with extra money that we may have sitting around? Like, can we start building those communities? Go ahead.
Oh, you have made a very good point. My thing is, even if we were to get that money, a lot of Blacks don't even have a bank account. You'd be surprised by how many don't have a bank account. A lot don't know how to invest. They don't know how to invest in stocks. So you can have that wealth, but again, if you don't have the proper education on how to have a savings account, how to put it in savings, how to invest your money, it's going to go down the drain, or you're going to spend it very fast. So we need to spend a lot of time educating ourselves on how to be financially stable, for one, but for two, again, going off of Myra, we really need to spend money in our education. our Black schools. There's no reasons why we shouldn't have the same technology as other districts in the community. So we really need to pick up the speed and be responsible for our child's education, how much money they're getting back so they can do school improvements, so they can get new technology, new books. So all of that goes into play.
I think that in addition towards that, when you talk about the unity piece as well, coming together as a community, I feel like there are times where within the Black community, there's that separation of who has arrived and who is not. A lot of situations of, the Carltons versus the Will Smiths. And so I think that coming together and realizing that Black people are multifaceted, that the same ones out there that is like Philip Banks can also still be able to be as eccentric as they are as like Will Smith. And like, sorry, Fresh Prince is just a fresh example on my mind. But just knowing that being a community together, it doesn't even just amount to if we get this like money and where does that leave us. Like, it requires like that unity to come. If I'm not making any sense, please let me know.
No,
But
you
just
are.
You are.
just kind of being like kind of like just being able to reach out and just help bring this person along with you in the community. Not everyone needs to be talking a certain way to be included or for their opinions to even be considered. And it's just very sad because a lot of times it's like if people get to, in the Black community, if they get to a certain salary, or even if I'm pretty sure like all of us have seen it being college educated, like, oh, well, you've arrived now, or you are just so different now, you're not one of us anymore. Like, we have already been excluded on so many factors within this world. Why are we trying to exclude each other from certain communities and whatnot?
And another thing is, Black people, we need to start supporting Black people. Like, Black businesses, we need to support them. We need to spend our money with them so we can actually start building that wealth within our own community. I will be the first one to tell you, I support just about all the Black businesses. The nail tech, she's Black. My cousin, she has her own cream line, whipping cream for like oils and all that. It's all natural products. It's amazing. So I support all the Black businesses. I get my hair done by who? Black people. So we need to start investing in each other to build that unity, to let people know, hey, I'm not in competition with you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to love on you, and we're going to grow together.
So I want to move on to kind of lasting thoughts so we can wrap this conversation up. We're not done here, but lasting thoughts. What do we want to highlight? And what other changes need to occur?
I hope that this movement not only brings reform with police departments, I just really hope that we can advocate for ourselves for things that should be so much further along than what they are. The educational system, oh my goodness. And I mean, it truly makes a difference, even when there's Black principals and Black deans and Black administrators within these school districts of predominantly African American and children of color, international children, those lower income communities, educational reform, even at the university level, preparing Black students for life after college. Growing up, so my parents had me when they were 42, a big generational gap. So my parents, they always said, you're going to college. But they really didn't have a financial plan for me when I went. I was blessed to have the scholarship, and I did financial aid. But after I graduated, it was like, when the real world hits, and it's like, wow, my parents, they didn't know how to necessarily prepare me for life after college. in my time at UK, I can't speak for everybody else, but I know for me, I didn't have good academic advising experience at UK.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, you know, the Department of Special Arts and Sciences could have did better. I feel like my academic advising could have been better. So that way I could have been more prepared for life after college. Like you said, mental health, Black counselors, Black therapists, just more Black professionals, literally in every field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in HR, who's hiring people? You know, I think that's the biggest thing. We're all, as Black women, we're educated. I know some of us have different educational levels, but even with that, I'm like, I went to college. You know, y'all only want to pay me $12, $13 an hour. So hopefully, I think for me, educational, economic reform, invest in our kids, mental health, and just a sense of community. And holding other groups of people responsibility, especially groups of people who make money off of Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
That's my piece.
I was gonna say just some ending points is that we obviously are in this movement because we deserve better, and it is our responsibility, and also the responsibilities of others, that if they see injustices, that they speak up on it, and that they be proactive. I wanted to just also end on some encouraging words because I'm a therapist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say we are better than what we have been getting. And I'm so glad that we are seeing that we are beautiful people. We have no choice but to be strong and to fight. When I think about what my ancestors went through and what I say to myself, I had to go through a piece of that. We are such a resilient people. And that's what makes us so beautiful. This Black runs so much deeper than this skin that we're in. It's so much strength in that. And I think that if we stay on this momentum that we have right now, that change will come. I believe that.
Okay, so my important highlights is it's our duty to stand up to all injustices, whether that's with our own people or other people of color. Right is right and wrong is wrong. I also agree that education reform is the most important thing that we really need. Because if we're educated, there's nothing that we're not able to succeed in. And thirdly, it's just being about our community as well. We don't have to go against each other. We're here for one another. We just need more unity. We need more peace among each other as well. So that's pretty much it. And our Black is beautiful. So, hey, Black power.
Yes. Everyone's points just times 100. I think that also too, just again, knowing that like supporting Black people also includes supporting Black women. And that's for our Black men to take note of as well. We Black women, we are essential to life. We are essential to the movement. We are essential to progression. And just knowing that with people being determined for change, change will happen. We just got to be determined to the change and being determined to stick to it as long as we can. Our ancestors boycotted the bus in Montgomery for a year and some days. And how many of us have just got on the tarp and sat where we wanted to sit? Got to keep in mind that we're not only doing this for us, but for the generations after us. And so just remembering that and knowing that we're not fighting for change, we're fighting for what we are owed, for what we're born with, for what we should be born with the ability to do, which is to jog, to go and pick up some Skittles, to just leave after legally paying for our things from a mini mart, to drive. And that's it's not a big deal for us to ask to be able to do that, or to be able to advocate for us to do that, when we should be able to do that anyways.
Well, ladies, I want to thank all of you guys so much for agreeing to take part in this conversation. I want you guys all to know that I love you. Your opinions, your thoughts, your ideas that you expressed here today are valued. They were heard. Much appreciated. I want to support you guys, and as Janelle said, or someone had said earlier, invest in each other. Is there anything that anyone wants to share to anyone that may be listening to this video, or any projects that they are currently working on that they want to share?
I'm not doing anything on a large scale, but for myself, just empowering myself, and Micaiah is also doing it as well. I'm changing the way I eat and what I put into my body.
Yes.
I did a 30-day vegan challenge, and I'm back on to a 60-day vegan challenge. So on my Facebook, I just post videos of recipes. It's a beautiful thing to learn how to eat better and eat so that you can feel better and look better, and that you live a long, healthy life. So if anybody's interested in that, then you can definitely join in on my lives that I do. I keep it light and funny. And I'm a Black woman, and I like to eat, so my recipes are good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently working on coming out with my own conditioning for my hair products. So I'm in the testing right now. It's testing stages right now. So I will be getting back with you guys with that. And then if you just want to support a teacher, y'all just don't know how much teachers come out of pocket. So if anybody want to help contribute, throw some funds my way for my classroom, just let me know.
Definitely on a health kick, working out, eating better. So my fiance and I, something that's been really big to our relationship journey is relationship with purpose. Recently, we made goodie bags for the homeless. So on 2 different Saturdays, we went downtown, dropped off the bags. So that's something that doing community service is out the kindness of our heart. Whatever you see in your community, I encourage you to find something, do it, drop ideas that you guys do. But yeah.
That on the same health kick, I got to get snatched for the wedding.
I feel y'all.
And so, so just doing that. Also, just like I rely heavily on my faith. I love the Lord. I'm a child of God. Amen. So just definitely doing that. Working on my blog. It's at Continuous Testimony. Just where we give scriptures, and if anyone has prayer requests, they can just send those in. But just doing a revamping of that. So, yeah.
If no one else has anything to say, I want to just again thank Micaiah for bringing us on the platform. Can we give her a hand clap?
Thank you.
Because she is a Black woman who's taken initiative. And I was just thinking about that these are not conversations that everybody can have with their friend circle or family or their dining table. So the more we have conversations like this, the more I feel connected to my community, to Black women. So thank you.
No, thank you.
But again, just thank you to Micaiah as well, because it's one thing to definitely have support from your community, but just us all identifying as Black women, especially considering where we all were at the same time in college to where we are now. Just a lot of our collegiate education has been tied to a lot of things happening within the Black community as well. It's just really great and refreshing. And I don't know about y'all, but I just feel like this was great. We just exhale and just take our hair down and just have a great conversation. So thank you for facilitating this.
Thank you guys so much. Well, I want you guys to know that you guys are always welcome on my channel. Anytime you guys want to continue this conversation or have a conversation, it doesn't just have to be about this topic. Or anytime you guys have anything to share, feel free to come back to the channel and we'll talk about it. For anyone that's out there listening, be aware that this conversation does not stop here. I really do encourage you guys to continue this conversation. like Samira had said, a lot of people may not feel comfortable having this at their dining room table, or may not have friends that they can have this conversation with. Social media, YouTube, things of that nature are an outlet that you can use. I know I will continue to have this conversation. And like my sign says today, I am never in a room where I don't belong. So if you guys are here listening to this, you belong here, you want change, you may not know how to go about it, but there's no such thing as a perfect conversation. So just start the conversation, and I promise you your words will flow naturally. So again, thank you guys for all watching. This is a new series titled Being Becoming. This specific video was Being Angry, Becoming Active. So we talked a lot about ways that we can help and support our community. So hopefully you guys take those ideas and thoughts, you add to them, and you also continue the conversation. So again, thank you guys. Thank you to all these ladies right here. I'm so blessed to have you guys in the room today and to continue this conversation. And thank you to everyone out there that was listening. I hope we were able to educate and start some of those conversations for you guys. So thank you.